make them more functional. Now, the issue of foreign exchange dovetails into that. For instance, you want to import materials for power. You increase the productive capacity of power for all of us. Once that is raised to a level where you can produce whatever you want to produce, I can produce whatever I want to produce, then capacity beefs up in the economy, and it helps each and every one of us. But if we continue at the rate we are going now, what we are doing is that using our own money externally to support those outside, and then leave our own internal people to suffer the loss. It's better for us to suffer it now and then gain it at the other end than to continue suffering right from now and then losing out at the end of it.
Okay. Mr. Egbara, amongst the things that the CBN is not giving foreign exchange for importation are things like rice, private jets, fish, eggs. I wonder how we got to the point of importing eggs. Sugar, wheat, and toothpicks. That question I want to ask is, how did we get to that point where we're importing toothpicks? I mean, growing up, we used to have things like chewing sticks. I mean, you just come out from your house, go behind your house, and you have a stick to use and pick your teeth. So how did we get to that point?
It's not healthy.
The point was in 1995, Nigeria joined WTO, World Trade Organization, which means you open your borders and everything that can enter the country should enter the country. That's
without restriction?
What?
Without restriction.
Exactly. But that is for developing countries, because if you go to China, there are a lot of restrictions on imports. Even the United States, there are a lot of restrictions on imports. If they do not use visible tariffs. They do not impose visible tariffs. They use invisible tariffs to discourage imports. But in our own case, we have never come up with the policies that will make it difficult for imports of things we don't need to have from foreign countries, but things that we have to encourage to be produced in Nigeria. So, you see, I agree with you because look at it this way, my brother. Nigeria, but you know Nigeria is subsidizing imports because our naira is unnecessarily strong. You see, let me tell you how it will happen. If Nigeria reduces imports of things it will not buy, then there will be less pressure on the naira. And when there's less pressure on the naira, the actual value of the naira will now start taking its position. But if you allow everybody to import everything he or she likes, then the pressure on our forex account will be as high as it has been. So I will agree that what next government should do in the interest of safeguarding this economy and creating jobs is to put ban on so many things we can make. Thai rice, let me tell you about the story of Thai rice. What the Thai rice we get here is about expired rice or rice that has already expired. Then they rebag the rice and ship the rice to Nigeria. Rice that we now, instead of $20 per bag, it becomes $2 per bag to the Nigerian importing it, and the person comes with 20 shiploads of this and dump it in the market.
Which I was going to ask you, what will happen to all those importers that have huge warehouses filled with some of these things like sugar, toothpick, rice, and even the private jets?
No, they have to be selling. They have to be forced to sell. Maybe they sell at a higher prices because there won't be new importation. But what will happen as soon as
who bears the brunt of that higher prices? The Nigerian citizens, the masses.
Excuse me, what are you trying to say? Are you trying to tell me that we shall not make sacrifices for our children tomorrow? China in 1980 to 1990 banned everything, and Chinese were just going for basic. Are you trying to tell me in Nigeria we don't have rice in Nigeria? Are you trying to tell me in Nigeria we don't have Abame shoes? Are you trying to tell me in Nigeria itself can be self-sufficient if we do not buy all these things? What we are trying to discourage is creating jobs for foreigners in their country and the creating unemployment in Nigeria. So I don't know, what do you want us to go? Okay, where's the dollar? Does it mean that we must import things? Because I used to, when I was a young man, let me tell you what a friend of mine told me when I was a young man. This is an importer. He said, why can't federal government produce dollars so that he will continue buying made goods? Then I explained to him, no, because the dollar is not our currency. You see, unless we're able to have the machine that prints dollar, we cannot import what we desire. America can do it because America produces the dollar all of us use. But since we don't have the dollar, we must make do with the little dollar we have. That's why I was using General Park to give you an example in 1962, when he was developing South Korea. He made usage of foreign exchange a maximum penalty. People will be killed for abusing the currency, the dollar in their foreign reserve. So why can't we do that? For God's sake, we must drastically reduce imports so that eventually we start producing most of these goods locally. And then you will see the value of naira will start going up. As soon as we start having less pressure on the naira will start coming to maybe 200, maybe 180, 160, and 150. But as the pressure continues, you should not expect the naira not to go, the exchange rate not to go.
Mr. Mugwara,
I'm expecting naira to be 250 before August.
Okay, I reckon that Nigerians will be willing to make sacrifices as long as it's going to be, for the good of everyone. But now we produce rice, but do we produce as much as the country needs to feed the people? What about the infrastructural issues that we still need to fix so that all of this manufacturing and production, farming, we get it right and not plunge the country into a situation where we'll have a food crisis?
I don't agree that with food crisis. Even at war, nations at war, do they die? Let me tell you, there's no investor who is a serious investor who should go and invest in something that he knows that the cost of production is high. Cost of doing business is high. Interest rate is high. Infrastructure cost is high. And then somebody comes from China or Thailand or India at a low cost of doing business and dump the thing in the market. If he does that, you discourage the investor. Now that the law has been made and possibly ban these things, I will tell people like Dangote that have been investing in rice, we now fast track their investment. So many investors from other countries will quickly come to Nigeria to take advantage of the gap. We must do it. Nigerians will not die. I will assure you Nigerians will not die. Without rice, the other things, must we eat rice? If we are eating rice 3 times a day, we find a way to eat once a day, knowing fully well that in the next 1 or 2 years, we shall have more rice we need than any other country. China, 1.4 billion people, produces not only enough, but exports rice. So why can't we, is it a rocket science to produce rice? The problem is the policy somersault. Policy that encourages import and discourages local production. I will assure you Abakaliki and some parts of the north that have the land and know how to produce rice, we buckle up now, and in the next 6 months or 1 year, we shall have at least getting to a level that is enough to feed our people.
Okay, Dr. Ogubunka, do you think the central bank should allow the naira value to be determined by the market forces rather than use administrative tools to prevent this?
You see, that would be going backwards if we use administrative fiat. We are in an open economy, and the market determines the price. There's nothing that stops the CBN
this is administrative fiat we're using now.
No, CBN can intervene, but they cannot use administrative fiat because we've passed that era. Now, what administrative fiat does is that if you fix a price, you fix it irrespective of what happens in the economy, and that's very dangerous. But CBN monitors the market, sees the trend, and then decides to intervene, either to increase the capacity or to reduce it, depending on which side of the divide that will pay better for the economy. So, but if you fix a price, you have fixed it, and it doesn't matter what happens, you have to carry the can. And that will not be the best for us at this stage of our development.
Okay, so what's happening now that the CBN is adjusting? They look at the market.
That's right. CBN is being sensitive to what is happening in the market.
But is the CBN being sensitive to what's happening within the country?
No, it's being sensitive because what happens in the market happens in the economy. It is the product of the economy that raises the issues for the economy. I mean, for the market.
Okay, let me ask Mr. Mbara. Mr. Mbara, when we talk about the economy, there are those who are arguing. I think sometime last year we had a guest here who talked about the fact that we're talking about Nigeria's economy growing, but the Nigerian citizens are not growing. That's in parentheses, are not growing like the economy is growing. Should that be the situation, or how can it be reversed if that is the situation?
The issue of the CBN